It's bad news, guys. Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler has been cancelled after Conor McGregor suffered an injury in training. Khamzat Chimaev has also been hospitalized with an illness, and his fight with Robert Whittaker has also been cancelled. First, we'll get into the Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler situation, and then we'll get into the Khamzat Chimaev situation. So regarding McGregor versus Chandler, Ariel Helwani has posted a full video reaction giving inside details about Conor McGregor's injury, the fight with Michael Chandler being cancelled, and the UFC bringing in Alex Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka as the last-minute main event for UFC 303. Ariel says more context on what happened to McGregor Chandler, how it was on, then off, then on, and then finally off again, dating back to last week, plus how Pereira Prochazka got made.
All right, I'm walking outside, but I want to provide a little more context to today's breaking news. So as you just heard, the Conor McGregor-Michael Chandler fight scheduled for June 29th is off. It has been canceled. Conor McGregor suffered an injury about a day or so before that scheduled press conference in Dublin. That was early last week. And so that's why there wasn't a press conference. Now, the reason why they didn't want that to come out was because there was hope that the fight would still be on and that it would be all good and salvaged. And so you obviously don't want your opponent to know that you are hurt. Understandable. And so initially there was obviously some anxiety over the injury. Then there was optimism, as I've reported all along, and they started to re-promote it, and Michael Chandler did an interview about it and all this stuff. But then at the beginning of this week, the pessimism started to creep in, and about 48 hours or so ago, the realization was that this fight isn't going to happen. And so the UFC went into overdrive, and this was led by Hunter Campbell, who's become quite known now in the MMA community due to that UFC Fight Inc. docuseries on Roku. And they reached out to a bunch of people. The main one being there aren't a ton of options right now, just given the schedule, given who has fought, given who is scheduled to fight. And the top choice seemed to be from the beginning Jiri Prochazka against Alex Pereira for the light heavyweight title rematch. There were some other feelers sent out to the likes of Max Holloway. There was some talk of a replacement for McGregor. Not a lot of options as far as a brand new fight is concerned. And finally, about around 24 hours ago, they really started to zero in on Prochazka and Pereira. Prochazka was in from the start. When he did that interview at the Octagon show, he was not referring to this. He was referring to perhaps the Perth card later this summer. Alex Pereira was the big hurdle, mainly because he's in Australia doing a seminar tour, taking some time off, but has continued to train, I'm told. He also had those 2 broken toes. One suffered before 300, one suffered during his win over Jamal Hill at UFC 300. But the man is stepping up again. Less than 10 fights in the UFC, and he's doing another incredible thing. The 2 MSG fights, 300, now stepping up. Obviously the other big fights as well. Double champion, all that stuff. And so nothing was ever going to compare to a McGregor fight. Nothing will compare. Nothing can compare. But the UFC pulls another rabbit out of their hat, and they get it done. Pereira Prochazka 2 is on. New main event, UFC 303, June 29th.
Just to give my thoughts on the situation, I think this is a massive blow to the UFC 303 card. Obviously, Alex Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka has been placed in as the new main event, but a lot of fans are going to be disappointed by the cancellation of this fight between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. I can imagine literally thousands of Irish fans have booked flights and hotels and event tickets to come to this event, and now Conor McGregor is not fighting. I can imagine a lot of those fans from Ireland would want a refund and won't be happy about going to that event, so a lot of fans are going to be missing out there. Also, this is a massive shame for Michael Chandler because he has been waiting almost 2 years for this fight. The ups and downs, the back and forths, the constant uncertainty about whether this fight was going to happen or not, and now for this fight to get cancelled at the last hurdle, this is a massive shame. Hopefully this fight gets rescheduled and it happens soon, and I hope this isn't a serious injury for Conor McGregor, and hopefully it's not the same leg injury that he suffered with in the past, because if it is a leg injury and it's the same leg injury, this could very well be the end of Conor McGregor's career and we may not see him fight ever again. But I hope that's not the case. I hope his leg isn't injured, and I hope the extent of this injury isn't too serious, and that we do see Conor McGregor back in the cage fighting Michael Chandler or fighting somebody else very soon. And for the next story, Khamzat Chimaev has been hospitalized with an illness and is out of his fight against Robert Whittaker at UFC Saudi Arabia on June 22nd. Now, Khamzat Chimaev's coach has released a full statement regarding the situation and given details as to why Khamzat has pulled out of the fight. Khamzat has yet to release a statement, but I do know that 4 days ago he was in Manchester. I know because this is my home city, I know this street very well, and Khamzat was walking down the streets of Manchester 4 days ago, which is pretty interesting because he's fighting in Saudi Arabia. So it would be good to get some context behind that as to why he's not in Saudi Arabia yet and he's walking down the streets of Manchester. But anyway, Khamzat's coach has released a lengthy statement regarding this situation, and here's what he had to say. Khamzat's coach and manager Majdi Shamas went on to say it's with great disappointment announced that Khamzat Chimaev, 13-0, has been forced to withdraw from his scheduled fight against number 3 ranked Robert Whittaker on June 22nd in Riyadh. The persistent illness that Khamzat has been battling for major parts of training camp could not be cured in time. He has been in and out of hospital several times. The condition has been kept within the team since everyone has been absolutely committed to finding a solution. Although all available options have been thoroughly considered, it has now come to a point where the team has mutually agreed that it is not possible to carry on like this. Stepping into the cage not properly prepared against such a formidable opponent as Robert is unfortunately impossible. This is a devastating turn of events for Khamzat, his coaches, training partners and other members of the team. Headlining UFC's first ever visit to Saudi Arabia was a great honor and something that was very much looked forward to. Although cause is far beyond anyone's control, a sincere apology is extended to the UFC, Dana White, Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, Hunter Campbell, His Highness, Robert Whittaker, his team, and most importantly to the fans who were looking forward to the bout. But everything happens for a reason and God has his own plans. The goals remain the same. Khamzat and team will now get to the bottom of causes of the issues and he will come back even stronger. This is unfortunately a part of the fight game, and as soon as Khamzat is healthy, his much anticipated return to the octagon will be immediately scheduled. Just to give my thoughts on this situation, this again is a massive shame for Khamzat Chimaev. I hope he gets well very soon and recovers and gets back to the cage as soon as possible. But it seems like every time Khamzat gets a big opportunity, something goes wrong, whether it's travel issues, whether it's health issues, whether it's somebody pulling out of the fight. A lot of you may remember, Khamzat was actually offered a welterweight title fight against Leon Edwards during the lockdown situation, but that fight didn't come to fruition. He's also had multiple health issues in the past. As we know, Khamzat is an extremely skilled and talented fighter and already a big star in the UFC and no doubt a future champion. With that being said, every time he gets a big opportunity, he seems to have bad luck, which appears to be the case once again. With that being said, I wish Khamzat a speedy recovery. I hope he gets well soon, and I hope we can all see him back in the cage very soon. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you enjoyed the content, please like this video and subscribe for more MMA news.